hostess here this evening. Come on, guys, you can do better than that. Right. I just want to say thank you for everyone that came here tonight. Fallen Angels is a very special project for me. I grew up as a horror fan. I was introduced to horror films by my father when I was like 5 or 6. He took me to the drive-in to see Alien and Jaws, and I was hooked immediately and knew that I wanted to make horror films. So all the members of the cast and all the people that you've seen here are very familiar faces to me, because there's a question I get asked a lot as a filmmaker. They're always wondering, are you just trying to use horror as a genre to get into the industry? And absolutely not. You know, I want to do so much with the horror genre. I think it's one of the most dynamic genres around. You do so many amazing things with it that a lot of filmmakers are not. And that's what we're trying to do here tonight with Fallen Angels. Not only is it a horror film, but it's a little bit of a thriller, a little bit of a drama, and perhaps something to make you think as well. So we're trying to push the boundaries of what horror can really be, rather than just a standard hack and slash, no story at all. We're going to try to give you something different. And so many wonderful people stepped up to the plate, with me being almost a novice director. I'd only directed and written one film before this called 13 Seconds, which was sort of a self-financed thing to get my foot in the industry and prove to investors that I could write and direct. But so many wonderful people that I grew up watching on the screen said, you know what, after reading the script, we want to be a part of this, and we want to try to do something else with horror as well. And a couple of those wonderful individuals would be my good friends, Reggie and Gigi Bannister. Please come up here on stage. Wonderful round of applause for both Reggie and Gigi. Now, if there ever was a horror icon, Reggie would definitely be it. Reggie, you've been in the industry for years, decades. You've done some wonderfully classical films.
We don't want to talk about too many years, Jeff. I mean, you know, I look so good, you know, it's like, come on. Jesus. Yeah, I made my first picture in 1972-ish, like that. And then, you know, kind of kept making them up through the years. And then we did Phantasm in 79. Yeah. And it's still badass, that original picture. Then, you know, through the years did Wishmaster, did Bubba Hotep. Yeah. And I don't know if you've heard the new news about Bubba Hotep, which is interesting, but no Nosferatu. And Paul Giamatti he's playing Colonel Parker. I don't know, that's exciting to me. But yeah, I've been around for a long time, and so has Gigi.
Thanks.
Gigi, no wait, she looks better than me. Gigi.
Yeah, I'm not mistaken, you met on the set of, was it Phantasm 2? Phantasm 3?
He was promoting Phantasm 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And a friend of ours, Michael Berryman from the Hills Have Ice, Little Spirits, he was part of a group I had called the Wolf Pack. I was promoting and managing them, and putting them into shows and conventions and whatnot. And so I get a phone call from Reggie, and he's like, hi, it's Reggie Bannister. I don't know if you're familiar with me. And I'm like, yes, of course I'm familiar with your work. And he's like, well, I have this film, Phantasm 3. You know the Phantasm series, yes? Yes, I know it very well, thank you. And he's like, well, I need some representation, and I need to get it out there promoted, so I was wondering if maybe you could help me out with that. And I'm like, why, yes, I can do that. And next thing you know, we arranged to meet, and, you know, I shook hands, thought somebody reached out and grabbed my soul, and he thought I had a big stick up my ass, and proceeded to remove it for the next several years.
Several years. But metaphorically, of course. But we have a movie to watch tonight, right? I mean, just...
Now, I have to say, just a little bit before we get into film and everything, is that you guys have been a part of this film for a long time, from the very beginning. What was it about that sort of attracted you to this rather oddball type of horror film?
Well, yeah, you know, I don't think it's an oddball type of horror film, because I think one of the most horrible things is when you come onto the certain spiritual realities. And I don't want to get too deep here, but you did, right? I mean, you're talking about basically the 7 deadly sins in this film. And the angels that represent the 7 deadly sins, and not all angels are good, obviously. I mean, there was the prophecy. I really enjoyed that series. I particularly like Chris Walken anyway, but ow, indeed. But I thought that was an interesting take on that whole thing. And then, of course, you know, you had Mickey Rourke's movie back in the 80s, Angel Heart, where you have Lou Cypher, and it takes him on this total trip. And I just love stuff like that. I mean, on down to Fight Club with all the twists and turns of you think you know who the character is sure he knows who he is or she is. And then in the end, you go, nobody knows what the hell's going on, and you're always taken by it. And I think this film has that kind of quality. And I think that spiritual films that just show the, you know, where it's really at, you know, in reality, what we're going through, what could be going on beyond our vision, beyond our hearing. That's what this film's about. And I think we need more films like this. Jeff?
Well, thank you so much, Reggie. Well, without further ado, let's take a look at this film. One of the things that I always like to tell audiences beforehand is that, you know, you sort of have to listen to it closely. It unravels as a true mystery does. It comes from a lot of different pieces and a lot of different characters. So it's one of those type of films that you sort of have to pay close attention to really follow all the different character arcs and the total arc for the film itself. And like Reggie said, you know, sometimes the most horrifying things in life aren't necessarily the most visceral or psychological, but sometimes can be the most spiritual as well. Ultimately, you know, where are we all going and what's going to happen to us? And that's pretty much what we want you to take a look at with the film Fallen Angels. So without further ado, please stand over for Reggie and Gigi. Yeah.